Hi, this is Trey Passer, and this is my movie review with spoilers of The Dark Knight Rises. I saw it 2 times. I saw it on Friday in regular theater, and then I saw it in IMAX on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. There's a ticket there. Dark Knight Rises, I think you can see it. Anyway, first of all, let me say I absolutely love this movie. I was going to see it twice anyway, but this movie definitely lived up to my expectations and exceeded it. And I love the way it ended, and I love the way it tied in with the first movie. With the whole, they tied it back in beautifully with Batman Begins, and this trilogy just ended perfectly and on a high note to me. Basically, in this story, you have Bruce Wayne 8 years later, you know, after the events of Dark Knight Rises, where Batman's taken the fall for Harvey Dent's crimes, and he's a shell of himself. He's, you know, since he's not been able to be Batman because he's a fugitive, Bruce Wayne has become sort of like a Howard Hughes type character, where he doesn't venture out in public that much, and you know, he's grown the beard and stuff, and walking with a cane because of his injuries and stuff. So he's a recluse, basically, in the beginning of this movie. And of course, when the threat of Bane comes to town, you know, the terrorist Bane, he has to, of course, don the mask again. And this is the story. And this story perfectly, you know, I love the way the story flowed. The story to me flowed perfectly. Like I said, Bane came to town with a specific plan. Okay, he had this plan to basically finish off Ra's al Ghul's work. Okay, and boy, was he brutal in his efficiency. He was absolutely fantastic. And Tom Hardy, to me, was absolutely fantastic as Bane. And like I said before, I said in my other review, the one with no spoilers, he has to act, of course, because he has the mask on. So he has to act with his eyes and with basically with his body. And he is absolutely fantastic as Bane. I mean, you actually feel scared for him, or scared for Batman, exactly, when they confront each other. Especially that first fight was absolutely brutal. I mean, the way Batman got trapped down there by Catwoman, and you know, Batman decides that, you know, Batman, he had no choice. He was on a walkway, as you see in the trailer, and Batman decided to take the fight to him. And boy, you know, Bane like took his measure, and ooh, he was absolutely brutal to Batman in that fight. I mean, the blows he was getting, and I remember watching it both times, and everybody was like on pins and needles watching it. You know, see people sat up in their chair to watch that fight, and boy, was that fight brutal. That was one of the most brutal fights I've seen at all. And I didn't think, you know, I remember when I said on one of my other videos before the movie came out that they wouldn't show Bane breaking Batman's back. I thought they wouldn't do that. I thought they would just maybe have him beat the crap out of him, and then just capture him and stuff, or just beat the crap out of him, Batman would escape or something, or he beat the crap out of him and, you know, find out he's Bruce Wayne. But they actually did show him breaking his back, and it was absolutely brutal thing to watch. And props to the stunt coordinators and the stuff and Tom Hardy and Christian Bale for that fight. Was absolutely brutal, just brutal to watch. And like I said, Tom Hardy was perfect, and you felt scared. There was a couple of instances in this movie, like the part where he kills the businessman Daggett. If you watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about. He kills the businessman Daggett, and then the part where he kills Dr. Pavel, you know, the guy he kidnaps in the plane in the beginning of the movie. And like I said, the fight with Batman is just brutal. And plus the other fight, it was brutal again. The fight he was having with Batman towards the end of the movie, that fight was brutal too. When it just showed when he was like, he went nuts for a minute, and then Batman ducked his punch, and he was like punching holes in columns. He was just great. Oh my God, just Tom Hardy was perfect. And also, like I said, Christian Bale was great as Batman. And you know, like I said, he had to go through this range of emotion where he started out as the hermit cat character. He decides to don the mask and go back out there again, and Alfred's doubting him and stuff, and they kind of have a breakup, him and Alfred, and you know, he's on his own basically. And then he, of course, gets broken by Bane, and then he has to heal himself and come back to confront Bane again. And I thought Christian Bale was absolutely fantastic in this movie. He gave a great performance. But and also let me mention Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who played I forgot this character's name now. I can't think of it now, but I'll put it in here when I go through this review. He was great as the ordinary beat cop, and you could actually believe he gave. I guess he gave the most. I don't want to say the most human performance. That's kind of all humans in the movie, but he gave the most, everyman type of performance, because he was basically the average cop on the beat, and his performance I thought was absolutely great, and the way it ended with him, like I know everybody was speculating that he was Robin, and of course we found out in the movie. I like the way Christopher Nolan and his brother, I guess they wrote him, has his his real name being Robin, which is a kind of wink at the fans, of course. And then having him logically, you see at the end of the movie where Bruce Wayne, left him his legacy of being the Batman. And I thought that was absolutely great. I thought the movie ended perfectly. And like I said, I love the story and love the twist with Miranda Tate. Everybody knew she was Talia al Ghul. That was, I don't know, they kept trying to say she wasn't, but everybody knew she was. And even though we know she was, I like the way they revealed it, where her stabbing Batman and explaining that she was the one that actually climbed out of the pit, and it wasn't Bane. Bane was her protector, and how her father wouldn't accept him because he reminded him of Bane of the prison where his true love, Talia's mother, was forced to go to after she secretly married Ra's al Ghul. Okay, and I just thought. And she was great too, with her reveal. Like I said, everybody knew she was Talia al Ghul, so that reveal wasn't quite as, because everybody knew that was coming. I just didn't know how it would be revealed. And also, I read a few of the spoilers about before the movie was going to come out, and I thought that, okay, somebody, which I shouldn't have did, but I read them anyway, because sometimes I can't help myself, and how they said that the movie, that Lucius Fox was going to die, Alfred was going to die, Commissioner Gordon was going to die, Batman was going to die, okay, and like I said, the movie, of course, none of these people died, of course, but I love the way they ended it, and with Batman, flying off with the bomb. I don't know if that was a little thing to the 1969 or 1967 or 68, whatever it was. That remember that movie where Batman couldn't get the TV show Batman couldn't get rid of the bomb. Where Batman flies off with the bomb. I don't know if that was a little wink to that, where and then you find out later he flies off with the bomb, and you think, oh, okay, he gives the ultimate sacrifice. He flies off with the bomb, out of city limits, and it blows up with him on it, and he dies, supposedly dies. And then later you find out from Gordon Fox and from Lucius Fox that he actually fixed the autopilot, so actually, he bailed out before the plane. Before the bat plane exploded, and of course survived. And I love the way they tied it in with Alfred telling Batman the story, Bruce Wayne the story about when he was gone for those 7 years before he came back to Gotham to be Batman for the first time. That he used to always take a vacation, I think, to Italy, and he's always hoped that he'd see Bruce somewhere out there living his life, with a family, and with a wife and a family, and not come back because he knew if he came back. He would just come back to heartache, and I love the way they tied it in at the end with him. I think it was perfect because everybody cheered him right there twice when Friday when I saw it, and Saturday when I saw it, when you see Bruce with Selina Kyle right there, Alfred picks up his drink and he looks, and there he is, Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle having a drink, and they nod to each other, and I thought that was perfectly great. And like I said, I love the way they ended it with Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, finding the cave, and of course rising up, and of course becoming, maybe the next Batman, or maybe Nightwing, or Robin, whoever else you could imagine. I love he just ended it in a good note, and I absolutely loved it. And like I said, I love the way the pace of the movie was not boring at all. The movie was like almost 3 hours long, but this movie, we were fully engaged all the way through. And the plot to me wasn't silly. Brain was brutal in his efficiency, and basically his plot was to decimate Gotham, just like Ra's al Ghul. But he said it in when after he beat the crap out and broke Batman's back, and he was explaining to Bruce Wayne about how that he was going to give Gotham hope. He was going to give them hope that this siege would end. That after he had broke out the prisoners from the prison due to the Harvey Dent Act, which was based on a lie. Of course, he broke them out and told the people, take back your city, liberate yourself. He had trapped the cops underground, so they were gone, and all the prisoners came out. He supplied them with guns, so they threw out all the rich people and stuff, and basically took over the town, and with his men, and they were having this mock trials and stuff for all the privileged people, and he wanted to give them hope that the siege would end. He blew up the bridges so nobody could come in, and he said that one ordinary person would have the the switch to blow up the bomb, but trying to give them, like he was explaining to Bruce Wayne, that he would give them people the hope that the siege was going to end and they were going to take over there, and then he would blow them up. Basically, he's going to blow them up. Okay, he's going to decimate. He's going to basically launch the nuclear attack. Launch the bomb. Okay, that him and Talia, that was their plan to to carry out their Ra's al Ghul's plan to purge the city and start again new. He was going to actually kill all the people, the 12 million people. I think Talia mentioned 12 million people. He was going to kill them, and I thought, that was just, like I said, that was just a great plan, and I love the way it flowed. I love the way the story flowed and everything else. And Bruce, and like I said, the regulars were the great usual self. Of course, Michael Caine was great as Alfred. Like I said, the only part I didn't like that he wasn't in the movie as much. Okay, which I can understand from the logic, the way the script was written. Him and Bruce have that conflict, and then he goes away. But I would have loved for him to be in the movie more. But I guess that's the way they wrote it. And look at Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox, of course. His usual great work. And of course Gary Oldman is Lieutenant Gordon, who's racked with guilt about this Harvey Dent Act. And the only part that I'm going to say that I didn't quite buy, maybe, I mean, nothing to do with Gary Oldman's performance itself, because he was great as usual, but the part where he has a speech, I guess written, where he's going to reveal everything, that Harvey Dent was the one that actually tortured his family, all that stuff, and the way they had, with him going down into the sewer and then getting knocked unconscious, not killed, just knocked unconscious, and then they actually happened to find his speech where he explained what really happened, and then they use that, I guess, Bane uses that as part of his plan. I don't know if I could buy that, if that was, that they just used that because it was happenstance, and they just, okay, we'll use this as an excuse to liberate the prisoners and stuff, and create the chaos and stuff. And I don't, that part I wasn't so, that part I didn't kind of buy. I thought maybe that's kind of a shake, because that was sort of happenstance coming. That the commissioner would go down to the sewers, and then he would actually, have that speech in his pocket, where he explains what Harvey Dent did and stuff, and then Bane uses that, to the people and breaks out the prisoners and stuff. That part I didn't, I thought that was too much of a coincidence that would happen. But other than that, I absolutely love this movie. And like I said, all the performances were great. And Christopher Nolan, thank you again. Silent clap for you, not silent clap. It's a clap. Thank you for ending your trilogy perfectly. I love the way it ended, and I can't wait for this movie to come out on Blu-ray. And hopefully, like I said, I know they'll probably release a trilogy set. And like I said, which I absolutely love. I actually love to get, of course, and which I'll definitely get. And this movie ended perfectly, and I love the way this movie ended, and it was perfect to me. He gave a little bit back to the fans by having Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, who everybody thought was going to be Robin anyway, actually maybe be Robin or maybe be Batman at the end of the movie, which is great. So I think he gave that to the fans, just and while still keeping the character as the everyman. I thought that was great, and plus having Batman, Bruce Wayne, have his happy ending, because in the comics, of course, his war is never ending. But in this movie, since this was the end of his trilogy, he had Bruce Wayne go off with Selina Kyle and be happy, and you see Alfred see him be happy, and I thought that was great. Bruce, he gave his all to Gotham, to make sure the city was safe, and just like he said in the first movie, he was gonna stay until Gotham is no longer. I'm trying to think of the words he said in Batman Begins. fate of the criminal and the corrupt. He was going to stay just long enough for that to happen, and he did that. And I think the trilogy ended perfectly. And thank you, Christopher Nolan, for again, and Warner Brothers for letting him do it, for ending your trilogy perfect. And I absolutely thank you very much. And this is Trey Pastor. Let me know what you think. For those who've seen it, let me know what you think. And feel free to leave the comments down below. And this is Trey Pastor saying so long and take care.